Grieving my affections.
Hearing God is important to me because I believe that God has a specific plan for each and every person. He's got a specific plan for my life. And so, yeah, if I'm not hearing from God, I don't know what that specific plan for my life is. And the number one thing for me is that I want to be obedient to His word and obedient to His will. And so unless I'm hearing His voice, I won't be able to actually fulfill everything that God has for me and live the life that God has planned for me.
With any relationship we have, whether it's with our best friend, our parents, that two-way dialogue and communication is vital to not only having a relationship with someone but building it and where it can grow and thrive. And so that's why with God as well, it's the thing that is so vital that we start this journey of learning to hear God's voice.
Hearing God's voice it's an amazing thing. It's an amazing experience when you're in His presence and He's speaking to you. It reassures me that He's always there for me. It's what I need in my life. I need to hear His voice. I desire to hear His voice, and I love to hear His voice. It makes me smile.
A defining moment for me when I heard God's voice was the first time I heard Him about someone else in public. So some friends and I were ministering at a New Agey festival, and this lady walked up and I greeted her, and immediately I put my hand on my neck and I said, "Do you have pain in your neck?" And she said, "Yes, I do." And I asked whether I could pray for her, and God immediately healed her when I did.
The defining word that God gave me was that I was supposed to open a home. I was supposed to hit the streets, preach His gospel, spread His good news, and bring in addicts off the streets and give them a place where they could feel loved.
A defining moment when I heard God's voice was when God told me that Claire was going to be my wife. It was obviously a very exciting one. God gave me a dream actually overnight, and so I woke up and I just knew for a fact 100% that God had spoken that Claire was going to be my wife.
God speaks to me in a couple of ways. Sometimes I see a picture for someone, or I have almost like an intuition, like I know in my heart something, I feel it. But primarily at the moment, the main way that He's speaking to me is through thoughts. So I just have phrases that come to mind, and when I step out in obedience to them, I get that confirmation that it was from Him.
So one, I got to be knocked up over the head, but two, then I got to settle down and I got to really focus in on my worship to God. That's when I feel Him speak to me. I not only hear Him, but I feel Him speak to me.
He speaks to me through, through dreams, visions, through peace, through reading the Bible, just through so many different ways.
So if you'd like to grow in hearing God's voice, I'd recommend sitting down in your room with pen and paper and asking Him a specific question. So the first one that I always start with is, "God, how much do you love me?" Or, "God, what do you think about me?" And then I write down the first thing that comes to me. It may be a picture, it may be just some words, some like thoughts, like it almost as if it were my own thoughts, or it may be, you may get a feeling, you may feel His peace come upon you. I write that down and I go from there.
If you're spending time reading the Bible, instead of reading it as words, I would ask God to reveal Himself through His word, to open your ears, because I find that for me, reading the Bible is often a way that my ears are opened, that I start to hear Him more.
Or it could be in your car, it can be while you're listening to the radio, it can be any moment, any time, any place, anywhere. Just open your mouth, ask for Him to speak to you, and then listen.